Welcome back, brothers, to the 801st Legion podcast. I'm Kyle. Joined with me today is Matt. Today we are just going to do a lot of catching up. We're going to talk about some things we're excited about with Legion, not really in the future, but maybe even looking towards the past. So, without further ado, let's get into it.
Hello there.
You must unlearn
Dark
what you
side
have
of the
learned.
Force is a pathway to many abilities.
Red,
Some
green, or
consider
red, green, red.
I know.
She got she'll do.
Sorry about the mess.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
General Kenobi.
Let's rearrange some architecture.
Is it possible to learn this power?
I thank you for your hospitality.
Twice the pride, double the fall.
Impressive. I'll show you the dark side.
Welcome back from that ride, Matt. Was that leisurely or what?
It was a very smooth ride.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here.
I feel like whenever you kick us off, I get real nauseous, but whenever I do it, it's fine.
It's like I'm the student driver, okay? Yeah. We're learning. We're learning.
We have a long way to go, both of us. We're both like...
I don't have my hyperspace license yet. Okay? Yeah.
You have the clearance to be in this sector.
Let's freaking Star Tours.
Oh my gosh. No, I love that ride. Actually, fun fact, I used to hate that ride.
Really?
I actually still like have some disdain to it just because like it doesn't tell like a cohesive story. I don't need it to be canon, but the fact that like you're jumping from era to era.
Oh, like you're going backwards.
Yeah.
And then you're going to jump into the future.
It's like you run into Darth Vader. Oh, now we're above Coruscant, and then
yeah.
we're in the Battle of Coruscant. Oh, now we're in the sequel trilogy. Oh, we finally escaped Darth Vader. Congratulations! It's like, oh my gosh, what is going on? But I had like this last time I went to Disneyland last year. I I wrote it again. I was like, all right, it's still pretty fun. Like visually, it's just a ride.
It's fun. I enjoy it.
It's not a movie, but you know.
Right.
Whatever. Better than the sequel trilogy. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I love the sequels.
Oh,
kind
gosh.
Of.
Oh,
man. But yeah, we got plenty to talk about today. Not a whole lot as far as like beefy substance goes, but we got a couple minor topics we want to talk about today. Probably won't be a super long episode, but I hope it's still entertaining to you at home. Hope you find this episode finds you well and safe. Just the whole Corona thing, obviously, like. We all know it's hard.
We're getting there, okay?
Yeah.
I know the days seem like they just flow together.
Yeah.
But we'll get through there.
I'll tell you what, though. There's some days that seem like weeks during this, and then but overall the weeks have seemed like days.
Well, it's funny because like you used to have things like work and play and events. And even like church and things like that would break up the monotony. Dude, you don't even have those anymore. Sometimes I wake up and I'm just like, man, what day of the week is it?
That's the thing. It's like whenever somebody asks me like, oh, like, can we schedule an online appointment for this day? Whether it's a phone call or for the store or whatever, you know. I'm like, wait, first of all, what day is it?
Yeah.
I have to know because I have to be somewhere else on 6 o'clock Friday. Oh, it's Saturday? I'm late.
Oh, the 31st. Is that in 4 days? Is that 5 days? Is that tomorrow?
It's also April. Do we even have a 31st?
I don't know.
Pretty soon it's gonna be. This happened to us a couple weeks ago, actually, right? When I was like, "Oh yeah, but that's not till mid-April," and you're like, "Dude, mid-April is like in a
2
week."
weeks, and now we're like past mid-April. Yeah. Oh gosh.
I forget what we're talking about,
flying.
but
it's
it's the blending of days that just getting super rough.
That is, yeah. I guess. Well, what have you been up to though?
Well,
while we've been in here in this Corona lockdown.
Well, we've all been on the train of, hey, get your minis painted, right?
Get your minis painted.
But the problem is with me, like, I have all my minis painted.
Oh, no.
Like, I got the droids that I can paint up now. I assembled them right before we started getting quarantined. But I usually paint during my downtime at the shop. So, like, when there's ever a customer running in, I could talk to him about painting. Because everyone always like, oh, I would love to get into painting, but I don't know how. I'm like, hey, look at me. I suck. Learn from me.
Well, that's got to be annoying, too, when, like, your paint's drying while you're talking to somebody. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, I can deal with that. It's more of the fact that it's like, I paint while I work, so I don't really want to paint when I'm at quarantined. I'd rather take this time and utilize it to do something I haven't done. Like, I'm catching up on a lot of these Game Pass on Xbox. Like, I've done a lot of the games. Like, I periodically, I'll, like, download a game and be like, oh, that looks really good. And then I forget to play it or touch it at all. And And so I've just been going down my list of all the games I've downloaded over the past few months from Game Pass and like trying each of them out. I finally got through the whole list. Got hooked on a couple, I guess you could say. But interestingly enough, the game I've been playing most as far as like it's not a Game Pass game, but I've been playing XCOM a lot.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I really wanted like the itch of Legion to be scratched because we can't play with people in the store, right? So XCOM, right? Like you're moving units around. It's kind of like Legion, but with animations. Not like as many units to control, but it's still something, right? And I gotta say, it has been scratching that itch. But man, I just wish it was Star Wars or Halo or something. You know, I don't know. I'm a big fan of both. So XCOM to me so far seems just really generic. I think like it's a generic Alien.
Like it's just aliens. Period. It's interesting what an IP will do to something.
Yeah.
Like having something you're invested in character wise or. Something to take from that generic level to the next step.
Right.
Like having a brand name. Like a hamburger's a hamburger, but if you go somewhere for a hamburger, the experience is totally different.
And they got a new XCOM game coming out this week, I think tomorrow as of this recording. And that looks really good. I'm actually really interested in that one because there's a whole lot more variety in creatures. And like it's not as large scale with like many like units upon units. It's more of like a squad of like actual characters. They feel like heroes. And that's what we love about Star Wars, right? We don't care about the rebel troopers as much as we care about like, oh, Luke, you know, Luke's on the table, or, you know, I got Tauntauns over there. Imagine like
Sans the clones.
Right.
Yeah.
It feels like imagine playing Legion with just stormtroopers. Like, sure, you can give a rocket trooper there, a rocket. That's what kind of XCOM feels like so far. I'm maybe about 6 to 8 hours in, maybe. And it's fun, but it's like, I don't know how much longer it'll entertain me, but I've been playing a lot. Animal Crossing also.
Animal Crossing has no right being as good as it is. Let's be real.
Yeah,
like
you even got it.
Well, it's so funny because, like, growing up, we had an old Animal Crossing on like the GameCube, and I remember like getting so annoyed with the game because it's just worker placement to the max.
It's
to
like
the max.
waiting the game.
It literally is. Be like, hey, it's my turn on Animal Crossing. My house should have been finished today. Things like that. And then I picked this up, and it's not bad. It's pretty good.
No.
There are more things to do, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But
well, like,
but I'm still going back to classic games that I've been playing.
Yeah,
like
that's good.
Mario Kart and things
you
like
got that
Apex,
Knights,
stuff like that.
Jedi Knight Academy game.
I did. That's
love
a
that game.
blast from the past.
I love that game.
Blast from the past.
Yeah, I mean, I got Animal Crossing unsuspectingly because, like, I always, like, thought the game series was dumb. I never really got the appeal. And I was like, dude, I got to have something to play. So I played that game. I'm not even joking, guys. I'm sad to admit this, but actually, I'm not really, because what else was I going to do? But I put 125 hours into that game, like, within the first 2 weeks it was out.
That's like 5 days in a row. That's like 5 days straight.
And I know that's not realistic numbers, because the Switch, when it's idle, especially on Animal Crossing, it'll still detect that you're technically playing. So like, I'll put it down for hours at a time, but because the game is still up, it thinks I'm playing. So I know that's not 100% reflective, but I think it's funny and comedic to say I played 125 hours of Animal Crossing in 2 weeks.
Crossing. Well, it's funny because there are some people that are just taking this to the max. Like,
oh yeah,
I was embarrassed to do this, but I have to admit I did it. I looked up YouTube videos about how to like make more money on the game.
Oh yeah,
some people just deep dive, man. Like their islands are incredible.
Have you tarantula farmed yet? That's
I'm trying to, but I'm just so lazy. I'm like, I'm not gonna go plant weeds all over and get rid of the rocks.
They have a new patch out today that supposedly is getting rid of the ability to tarantula farm. So we'll see.
R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P.
It's okay. Half my island is just an orchard that I go farm every day. So.
That's what I do. Yeah, it's like easy money. You know. I
guess. Well, so you haven't been painting minis. Have you been like basing or doing terrain?
No terrain.
Building your army at all?
I've looked. There's about 8 rebel troopers that I keep here in the store that as a reminder of my last rebels that need to get based. But like I can really do that anytime. I'm not in any rush. I'll do it eventually. I'll probably do it like the night before we start playing again. I'll be like, okay, well, quarantine's over.
Well, it's funny because quarantine will end. We'll go back to playing, and you'll just never get them done because of that.
I might. Yeah. Oh, you know what? You're probably onto something there. I probably won't ever base them because Sean, a member of the community here, he actually volunteered to paint them for me, which he also painted your ATST.
He did such a good job.
Man.
He really did a good job. Like
He's an excellent painter.
I can't believe how happy I was with it.
Yeah, so he painted my Rebel Pathfinders that I never had before, and I don't really play with them often. So I was like, yeah, sure. Like, I bought him a set of Tauntauns to paint them for me. I'm like, that's a win-win. Like, very cheap. He knows he's cheap. He's doing it to help out the community. He's not really in it for money, even though I tell him all the time,
Dude,
like
he could be
making money. He's pretty good.
Bucks on that stuff.
So I'll probably leave them unbased and call them my Sean Quarantine minis, like just as a subtle reminder. Like, these are the ones that never got based because we were in quarantine.
Just wait till we run a tournament or like a Prime or something comes here, and you have to have based minis.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, if we ever play a Prime, I'm not running Rebels. You know, your boys gonna be running them clones.
Them clones, especially with all that's coming out. Like, you gotta run the ARC Troopers.
What's coming out?
Do it. Well, we got ARC Troopers coming out for one.
We do?
I think so. Rumor has it.
see, I'm just like super confused because like I could have sworn there was another unit that we were supposed to get that we never got. Something about an AAT, and that people were getting them all over the country and world.
Gosh.
But our store is yet to get them. I'm not salty.
Man. It's something about Inferno Squad.
Yeah, see, like you say that,
and-
but I don't think these guys are ever coming out.
Oh man, Corona! I tell you, if there's anything like, I know it sucks, but remember this time, because this is one of those times that we'll experience in the world, and other people just aren't going to.
We're gonna
like, this is historic.
100% in our rocking chairs when we're 80.
Yeah.
We're gonna be those guys like, you youngsters have it so easy. When I was a young boy, I had to stay inside for 2 whole months.
I will say the memes and the gifs have been incredible because nobody has
my
anything
gosh.
else to do. They're all at home.
That sounds both depressing and heroic at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you have nothing better to do, so you made everybody laugh. That's super
You
nice
go
of
make
you.
some TikTok videos.
Also, you had nothing better to do, so you made jokes on the internet.
Yeah, here we are making the podcast.
Yeah, here we are
Guilty
doing
as
nothing.
charged. Yeah. Oh gosh, but yeah, for me, dude, I've been painting a lot. I've got like my entire Rebel army painted at this point. I think I have just the FD cannon left.
Yeah.
And some Tauntauns.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And that's like the entire Rebel army. It's a
Yeah.
lot.
And I don't know. I don't ever see myself running the droids anyways. I kind of wanted them just to like have
Aw.
droids.
Sad.
Like, I'll take that back. I told you this. I think I said it on the podcast before, but I've told you this. I have really no reason to want to get into the droids. I know they're good. They're like super. They're a super good faction. But I have no desire to get into the droids until they have like certain characters that I want. When Maul comes,
You want Maul and Asajj.
I've said this before. Like when Maul and Asajj comes, at least when they're announced, then I'll be like, all right, got to paint them up now. You know, I'll paint them up all like Episode 1 droids. You know, that weird tan color that has no variation to it, fresh off the press,
Fresh.
no contrast paints, all just straight matte tan.
You just spray paint him and leave him and walk away.
Yeah.
I know the Kyle way. Yeah. Well, it's interesting because like with the droids, I'm so happy that I play them because I know you felt this way with the clones at first as well. That you were like, man, like I'm the only one playing clones around here. And now everybody's playing the clones. Everybody's talking about clone standby,
Yeah.
troopers, which is really good.
We're about to see some huge. Well, we're not about to see anything, but yes, continue.
No, but it's fun, and that's one thing I'm sticking with the droids for is like I put the time in, I put the effort in, and I do feel like they are a little bit of a high skill cap
Yeah.
army. I guess if I was to compare them to anything, they're definitely like they're definitely like Necrons and like Astra Militarum for 40k stuff like that. But I like them; they're fun. Things will definitely change with VA though.
Like, I guess it's just the fact that I get to play, like, because when we do get to play, we're playing each other all the time. And so, like, I play against the droids enough to where I feel like I practically play them.
Yeah.
So, like, I get how droids operate, and I don't know.
It just doesn't seem like your style, if I can be completely honest.
Yeah, no, I would agree
just
with you
doesn't.
very much so. Like, I don't feel like... I don't know. I don't feel like I'd have... Like, it's just the characters that... I got into the clones for... Like, we got into Legion in general for the factions that we play. Like, we weren't playing Galactic Civil War because we wanted to wait for Clone Wars to come out, you know? And so when Clone Wars come out, we went in deep and got Galactic Civil War.
It's kind of funny how that worked out, because then what did we end up playing for the first forever?
Yeah.
The Galactic Civil War factions.
But overall,
Super fun.
I think we played it smart, because like imagine coming into this game at the beginning and being as struggled for content and starved for content as we are now. Like
Yeah.
like just getting our innards tickled by these releases like over and over, like, oh, Operative Luke, Operative Vader, oh, never mind, you're not getting him until next year. Oh, maybe you'll get him next month. Oh, nope. Like
This whole like gas pedaled on and off thing, yeah.
yeah, and we're just seeing that over and over again. It's nothing new anymore. I'm just kind of getting used to it at this point. To be frankly,
To be frankly.
frank,
To be French.
bratwurst are German.
It's true.
What can I say? I say the thing first. The things that come into my mind first.
Right.
Think of sausage.
I'm
Bounce,
su-
get out. Wow.
No comment.
Oh man.
Kyle, you need to delete Grinder from your app. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. I'm just, dude.
You're right,
yeah,
though.
but I'm so
it's
excited.
nothing but depressing
yeah,
on there.
but I'm excited for Legion Knights to start back up when they do.
Yeah.
But-
Anything else you've been doing?
Oh, dude, a lot of games and just chilling.
Games?
A lot of that stuff.
Can I talk about one other thing I've been doing that I'm really
Go
proud
ahead.
of? I'm really proud of. I've been learning Japanese.
Dude, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I say this because I know I've already talked to you about this, but like I have to gloat, okay? I have to let everyone know at home that I'm learning Japanese. I'm going to
Everybody
be
at
that
home,
guy.
Kyle's better than he. I'm just kidding.
Kyle thinks he's better than you because he's learning a language. He probably doesn't even speak at a preschooler level.
He's on Duolingo.
I'm on Duolingo. I've gotten through the alphabet of hiragana. I just started katakana. I have not started kanji yet, which is like the hardest one because
What
there's-
is kanji?
So like our alphabet is just the alphabet, right? Different combinations
Yeah.
make different things,
It's
right?
very phonetic. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Their
phonetic.
alphabet involves hiragana, which is like the main like symbol structure. If anyone knows Japanese better than me, please in the comments explain this better than I am. But to my knowledge of 2 weeks of studying, it's hiragana is like the base structure. Then katakana is like what's added on top of that for more like. And as I'm just starting, I can't give you like a concrete answer, but it's like more to complete the entire language, where they're like two separate alphabets combined into one. But then you throw in kanji, which is like if it's not Chinese directly, it's like heavily influenced by certain Chinese dialects, but they're like symbols that mean certain things, and there's over 2,000 characters in that alphabet.
Wow.
So like memorizing those is just going to be a pain. Because it'll take forever, but I'll get there like in 5-6 years. I'm actually like very serious about this because, as I've told you, I've always had the goal of like traveling abroad and like speaking in that language, or at least attempting to, even if I get there and like have no idea what I'm doing. I just think that'd be super cool to spend a month in another country and like live as the locals do. And I've always been like obsessed with like Japanese culture. I love the art they put out, the culture that they present to the world. I've just always been fascinated with it. So I said, hey, I have nothing to do. Let's do it. Like let's learn Japanese.
You know, it's not. I'm happy you took that way, because there are a couple ways to think about quarantine. There's
Yeah.
the sit around and just get, bored out
Yeah.
of your mind and not have anything to do, or there's the improvement way of doing it.
Yeah.
Where you find something productive. This is also a good time to just knock out those books, those games,
Yeah.
those shows that you would never have time to do.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah.
will, like we say that you should get your minis painted because you don't have an excuse, but I will 100% give you a pass. Like if you instead say, well, no, actually I caught up on all these books I meant to read. I'm like, no, dude, that's great. That's awesome. You did something productive. Like I about 3 days into like actual quarantine, not that weird phase we had of like,
Oh, like actually quarantine, but
yeah,
not really.
because there's that
Yeah.
time where like we could still hang out, but we couldn't be in groups of 10 or more. Like once we actually got like the borderline stay-at-home orders, because Utah's still not like stay-at-home
I
orders.
don't think a lot of places
Yeah.
have the actual stay-at-home order, but it's like very heavily suggested.
It's like stay-at-home orders
Like,
without the order.
Like the cops will go get you and tell
Right.
you to go home, but the
Right.
governors have.
There's certain
orders,
places that are
yes.
off limits for sure, like restaurants and stuff. And I think public parks are one. But yeah, there's like a list of things that are allowed and a list of things that aren't allowed to stay open. So yeah, like 3 days in, I just was like, I got to do something else. Like I can't just sit here. I have to do something that like tests my mind, or like makes me struggle.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyways, that's what we've been doing for our quarantine time. Somewhat productive, as much as you can be. What are you guys doing though? We'd love to hear what you know, or what you're doing at least. I'm thinking about getting a bike. That's another thing, like actual bike, not just like a Walmart bike.
Like without riding it, or just
just getting it. No, like seriously, like I've been running a lot lately, actually.
No way.
Yeah, and on days where I don't feel like running, I at least go outside for a walk because I can't stay inside. Like I can't do it. I still eat like crap though.
That's always the hardest step, isn't it? Yeah.
But at least I'm getting outside. But that's the thing. It's like I'd like to go new places, and it's hard to go new places on foot. So I'd rather like take a 20-mile bike ride than like a 1-mile run.
Well, it's funny because a bike ride it's so much more leisurely.
Yeah.
I mean, in a weird way.
You can make it very
Yeah.
aerobic, but yeah, I
Very
get what you
can.
mean.
But yeah, it's definitely something else. That's fun.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on. That's what we've been doing. We wanted to talk about today some of our favorite units in Legion, looking towards the past on several different variations of like what dictates a really good unit for us. Matt, why don't you take it away with it for us?
Yeah. So I guess first thing we're going to talk about what our favorite designed unit, and what we mean by that is what is our favorite looking unit? What model looks the best? And for me, I mean, that's such a hard thing because I think a lot of people would immediately jump to like Operative Vader, Bosk, Boba. I gotta say, for me, I think Grievous is probably
Grievous is really
my
cool.
favorite of the minis so far. He's just such a cool mini. There's so many options you can pose him. He's got all of his arms everywhere. It really stretches, I guess, the limits of what the models can do.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's just such a cool mini. I gotta give it to Grievous.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Grievous is really awesome. I also struggle with this question because, like, when we talk about design or, like, looks-wise of a mini, like, it really does come down to, like, the painter, you know? And
Yeah.
So, like, I guess base-wise, like, how they just sculpted it and the options you have available, I would say Grievous is actually really high up there. If we're talking, like, painter-wise, or, like, maybe, like, me specifically, like, out of what I've painted, I'm so proud of my Kenobi. Like, just really proud of that Tron look I gave him, like the rest of my clone army. But like his pose is also really cool. Like his iconic, like when he's dueling Grievous, that the Soresu pose. Like it's subtle, but like I still think that's a really cool design.
Well, it's also like a very dynamic.
Yeah,
pose.
exactly.
It really is.
Even if it is just a one pose for the mini, not like other minis now that we're getting that are soft plastic that you can like kind of change it up. But other than that, I actually gotta say Wookiees.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I just love what they did with the Wookiees. The fur looks great on those guys. The poses that they chose, especially the one with the two reek blades that are like.
Oh yeah, where he's like slashing people.
Yeah, that's just so cool. If I ever get another set, I'm gonna make a much more bloody version. I think with like blood coming off of the swords and blades and stuff. Maybe paint them like Vikings colors and stuff.
Yeah,
not the sport team, the actual Viking.
That's actually cool because like. You just made me realize that, like, if I had to pick a second, I would actually probably pick some Rebels, too. I would pick the Rebel upgrade packs.
Oh, yeah. Those are so good.
I feel like they pushed, like, FFG did such a good job of pushing the mold and, like, pushing the extent to which they could do soft plastics. They look incredible. Painting them up also was such a blast. Like, they're probably some of my favorite minis to ever paint.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, Grievous looked great. There's a lot of detail. The small things as well. He's posable, all those things. But the Rebel upgrade packs, they're still mildly posable with their heads.
Yeah.
So, like, for me, I have two of them. The heads, I don't like the heads facing the same way on the, like for the same race. Like, for the Ithorians.
Oh, yeah, you got to mix it up.
You got to mix it up. But the textures and everything on those aliens, just it made painting them such a breeze, and they look so great. But they also are different. Like, it was so great to get a pack of aliens that look so different from each other, so unique. Really feel like you've got such a diverse army on the table. When really it's just one unit. I really think that would probably have to be my second one.
Yeah. And I know this is cheating, but I'm also going to throw out just heavy classes in general.
Oh,
like I'm looking at the Gav right next to us, and I'm just like, the ATST, the Gav, the Saber class tank. Sorry, Rebels, and sorry, droids, apparently. But like, I mean, I guess the airspeeder as a heavy is really cool. Like I've gone on about the airspeeder. I love that thing. I think it also looks great on the table. But overall, just like the heavy artillery stuff though, like ATSTs, Probably the ATST and the Saber class in particular, like model wise, the Gav is cool. Don't get me wrong, but like favorites, if I'm choosing between my favorite children here, I have favorites. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I know that's a little bit cheap. Do you think there's any that you were like, oh man, they probably could have spent a little bit more time on that?
A little more time. That's actually a good question. Because when I think about it, the ones that make me think, okay, these could have been a little better, would have to probably be the Stormtroopers. But that's with a caveat, because
those were pretty early days.
Because they were early days, exactly. And I feel like we got really good sculpts for the older things, but like updated with the upgrade packs. So with the upgrade packs now, the Stormtroopers in there are just incredible. They're great. The mold is amazing. A lot of detail. They look really good. Same with Vader. Vader, I think the original Vader model is still so good. Yeah. So good. But now you got the new Vader with Op Vader, and that's just a step above. Yeah. I do think personally, I go with the old Vader, but I think ones they could have done a little better with.
I got one. I got one that I think they really could have just waited. And
really? See, you're kind of chopping the bit. Let's hear it.
Rebel veterans.
Rebel vets, really?
They just look too similar to regular Rebels.
Actually, you're 100% right about that.
Yeah, no, I just think Rebel vets, like, they could have looked a lot different than what they currently look like. I get it, they're the Hoth Rebels, but like they still look just so similar to regular Rebels. I think they could have at least given Rebel veterans more alien options.
There is like There's like that one guy.
Yeah, but then look what they did with the Rebel upgrade pack. Those models I feel like could have been used for Rebel vets, and then we could have gotten more variation for the Rebel upgrades.
Do you know what we haven't seen yet in the Rebels, but I would love to get would be some Bothans.
Oh yeah,
like the dog-looking guys. Like,
well, because like we still don't know what they look like technically, right?
We do from Legends, so it looks kind of like a dog.
Right, I think I've seen that picture, but like.
Yeah,
I guess
Or even then, it would have been a good chance to bring in like sequel trilogy aliens at all. Like there are other aliens. I would love to see like a Quarren.
Yeah,
like the squid looking dudes.
Yeah.
Like there are options. I think for one, it's probably easier to mold human faces.
Yeah,
cost wise, but I think you're 100% right.
Well, like there's no reason why they couldn't have used just like a what's the man? I'm drawing a blank on the species name. Mon Calamari. They could like I know they have one for the Scout Troopers, or I mean for the strike team, but like okay, put one standing up, like yeah. I don't know. Yeah. That's such a minor complaint. Like overall, like Rebel veterans have so many other issues than mold.
You could say that again. I mean, overall, I think the Rebels have the most interesting of the molds.
Yeah,
and I think Empire and clones, they look good. They have really good looking stuff. But it gets repetitive.
Yeah.
When you've got a million that just look exactly the same.
Yeah. No, is there anything that you would say like yourself? I mean, I said Rebel vets, but like
something that could have been better. Is that what we're saying? Like maybe our least.
Or maybe just like could have used a little bit more time.
Yeah. That's kind of a tough.
You just love it all.
I do like a lot, actually. I will actually the Leia model. I dislike the Leia model.
Oh yeah,
because
I'm glad you said that because I didn't want to. It's a little bit of a hot take.
Really?
Because apparently a lot of people like her in that uniform or in that costume.
I don't mind the costume, but I just feel like the model a little bit. Every paint job I've ever seen of it always ends up looking a little bit like General Leia from Episode 8. It always ends up looking older. It doesn't look like young, spry Leia.
Yeah.
What I would kind of like them to do is maybe like an Op Leia version where maybe she's like Episode 4 or just looking younger. Like, I don't know why. Maybe it's just the fact the model's a little thicker because of the way the soft plastic is.
I don't know. If we ever got an operative Leia, I'd want the bounty hunter. From Return of the Jedi.
With the helmet and stuff. That'd actually be cool. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's probably my least favorite.
I just think out of all the outfits that they could have chosen for her, they went with the one we see for like 2 minutes.
Oh, and in Return of the Jedi. Yeah, it's a little weird that they pick Return of the Jedi one. I think it's fine. I don't know. It's just something about the way it is. It doesn't feel like Leia. It doesn't look like her to me too much. I don't know. Yeah. It's okay. That's not to say it's a bad one. Like, it's not terrible. I've seen worse in other games and things, but it's just probably my least favorite.
Yeah.
Or one that could have maybe been cooked a little more.
Yeah. Well, back to the positives. Play style wise, what's like the most fun to play?
Ooh. I started. What about you this time? What's your favorite one?
Fun to play, even though I'm gonna go down as a traitor to my faction. I think Operative Luke he has so many fun tricks to him. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, he's good, yes, but like also his mechanics are just like really, really cool, really well thought out. Like, if you're suppressed, you're gonna be able to attack your own unit. You know, like, you're gonna be able to have your enemy betray each other. I'm like, that's just so cool. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, like the special rules he comes with and his cards are just so good.
Yeah.
Especially when you have so many cards to pick from. I think Vader's another person like that has so many options. But I'm not that big of a fan of Vader.
Well, of course I could say clones and be like, yeah, I love token sharing, but it's like, of course, like, I just, like, who doesn't like token sharing? That's, you know, the idealistic communism, idealistic socialism.
Our tokens.
Not just your tokens, our tokens.
Right. That's a tough one because, like, I think you already know mine, which you could probably guess mine if you've been listening.
Count Buku.
Buku
Count
dollar sign.
Count Boo Boo. I'm gonna die.
It's gotta be him. Like, I've played around with Palp, and Palp's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think he's got some amazing mechanics, but just the amount of control and, like, I feel like every time I play Dooku, people just kind of like crap their pants a little bit and they go, "Oh,
yeah.
How do I deal with this?"
Are you gonna tell me your hot take that you told me in private once?
Which one?
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, say it again. Oh, the Dooku beats Palpatine?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not even a hot take. I totally believe that 100%.
That's a pretty hot take, dude.
I think Dooku is so much better than Palpatine. I think his cards beat Palpatine's cards. Now, I know... I'm just saying.
I love how you don't even think that's a hot take. That's how sure you are.
I'm so sure of it. It's just like, because he's literally made to counter whatever you're going to do. There's so many things about that. It's great.
I can see it now. People in the comments, no way! Dooku sucks! Empire for life!
Palpatine's better. The problem is they're both
No
so
offense to any
expensive.
Palpatine players. You just cheat. No,
Stop.
I'm kidding.
No, that's
only
a hot
partially
take.
serious. Okay, I'm sorry. Does anyone else get to attack 8 times?
Okay.
And then get a Medroid to back them up and get those health points back? Give me a break!
Oh my gosh. I can't wait to see how VA changes that. I will say that is some things. Palpatine, he has some great things going, but Dooku, man, he's got a lot of fun things. Like, but that was an obvious pick.
Going up against both, though, I will say Dooku has a lot more things that people just don't know how to unlock.
Well, I feel like they're very situational, or you have to force them to happen.
Yeah.
Like, mastering Dooku, I feel like is like Luke. I hate to say Luke is a lot easier to do, but he is. He's very straightforward. His kit is just so straightforward. You can just pick it up and go. Dooku does take more finesse, more control. He's very much like, and that's what I love about it too. His mechanics and playstyle wise, dude, it feels like Dooku, where he's this older gentleman who, like, he has to use his finesse and his experience to beat you, but he's gonna beat you. I also love that if you run him, you basically have perfect activation control. Yeah, I love that.
Oh, that's also just a lending factor of the droids right now. Like you could do the same thing pretty much with Grievous. Yeah, but like, I get what you mean. Like, and I really like that too, because like Double the Fall really lends itself to being like, okay, I have commander tokens in this bag. I practically get to just choose whatever commander I want, so I pretty much get to go whenever I want.
Yeah, which it lets him beat other heroes out as well.
Yeah.
What's interesting is I can't wait to see how the droids change with new units, because lists will have to change as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, and I'm really happy with that, but also like it makes me wonder, like, if competitively, commander droids, Staps, like when they come out, like if they really are gonna like shake up the faction at all, because I don't know if. Maybe this is a hot take, but I kind of feel like droids are already, like, set in their identity in a way. Yeah. Of course, like, we're going to find out some things about the commandos and the Staps that, like, really, like, once we actually get our hands on them and get to play with them, we're gonna unlock some stuff that's, like, really cool. I'm not doubting that at all, but I'm just saying, like, with what the droids are, what they present to you with what they have already, and to some extent, you could say this about the clones, too. It's great. They're in a good spot just to be really good out of the box, you know? So it'll be interesting to see how Commando Droids others take that.
I have to admit, I think VA and like having other objectives is where that comes into play. Yeah. But definitely agree. If you had to pick like maybe a number 2, what would you do?
Number 2, of
like play style
wise.
and mechanics, or maybe like one that I guess maybe what's one that almost gets there but isn't quite. I guess to keep it.
Yeah, no, I got
do
one.
The opposite,
I have
but
one
not
in mind.
quite.
The Saber class tank.
Really?
Yeah, like I
Okay.
really like what it presents, but like it's still a struggle to go objective hunting as the game stands right now. You know, because like once we get like vital assets, we're gonna have objectives and deployments that make heavy and large base units like way more viable. You know, as it stands right now, it's like okay, but they're not really doing much. You know, they can kill if you get them in the line of sight, but other than that, like, what are we really doing with that? You know.
Was it you brought up a good point with like the Saber class of like it's that or Kenobi and that's
Yeah.
or both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculously crazy. I can't believe I've done that. Like, and I've had actually success with it somewhat. Like,
You had success against me with it, yeah.
well, maybe not winning every game, but still like making some really solid plays. And for a jank list like that, like I do consider that jank, like 100%. Being able to like put 2 Saber, quote unquote. I call it the Saber 2 class. But yeah, it's calling it that. I think I actually picked that up from one of you guys in the community, but I modified it, so I'm sorry if I took your idea. Anyways, but yeah, what about you? Do you have a number 2?
Oh man, somebody who almost gets there but doesn't quite get there. Since I've been playing a lot of Rebels lately, actually it's interesting because I've played around with all the factions, and I think I've got to come down to Jyn. I feel like she's so close.
Yeah.
And I've been playing around a lot with her and the Pathfinders because I feel like there's something there, but I don't know if it's just a point reduction because they have some cool mechanics. Great mechanics with like Danger Sense, where sometimes Danger Sense, man, you just it's like
can't
having
save.
Impervious. You block everything. Like
Yeah.
you're not taking any damage. But on the other hand, when you roll Danger Sense, and like you and I had a game where I rolled Danger Sense and I missed everything.
But then you've had some where you block everything.
I have, but it feels even worse when you
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
even block anything. But it feels
Which is funny when you think
Yeah.
about it. It's like if from a certain point of view, like adding more white dice is just more chance to fail.
Well,
Like sure you could look at it like, oh yeah, I have more dice to have more options. It's like, but also there's so many more blanks now.
Yeah, each of those dice still has a 2 in 6 chance.
If they have a surge, which Pathfinders do, right?
Yeah, they
so-
still have a 2 in 6 chance each time. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
See, I've
It's-
played with
it's
Pathfinders
interesting.
like twice. I don't really know their stats all that well off the top of my head.
It's funny because I am liking a lot of what they offer the game. I just feel like they're a little expensive, but I feel like those are 2 units that are just so close
Yeah.
to almost hitting it right on the head.
Yeah.
They're almost there.
Well, I mean, I kind of addressed this with Luke, but we also wanted to talk about like command cards. Do you have favorite command cards,
Like
or
a
maybe
least
units that
favorite?
use command cards? Because like, yeah, I would 100% say Luke's command cards are my favorite. If I had to do my number 2, I would say Obi-Wan because of his tricks to like slingshot into enemy territory, hello there, block everything, and then jump back and like it's just really nice.
Just do some amazing things like
Yeah.
that. Oh gosh, it's hard because there are so many command cards that I feel like when you play that command card, it's clutch.
Yeah.
Like that's you won the round. Maybe not the game, but the round is so influential. Oh gosh,
I'll just preemptively say that Anakin's probably gonna have the best command cards
do you
in the
think
game.
so?
I think if they don't, they're just slapping our faces. Like I think Anakin really should just be like he should his one pip should just be like the chosen one, like
Wins all engagements.
Yeah.
yeah.
like can kill clones or no sorry can kill younglings for extra health.
Pierce 6. Yeah. Oh,
I don't
gosh.
know, but whatever.
Yeah.
What about you? Any command cards that stand out to you?
I think the double the fall command card is so key.
Yeah, that one's super good.
I think that one's my favorite.
I'm noticing a trend with the factions we actually play and the cards that are our favorite.
Well, it's interesting because I was thinking about this over the past couple of days when I've been just trying to figure out what I want to talk about. I thought about doing a lot of Rebel ones because like with the Jyn one, there are some options you can do there. Leia's got some great ones, that, like especially with triggering the taunts with like No Time for Sorrows, and even with the Empire ones and the Clone ones, there are some good ones. But every time I was coming back down to Dooku, and I think the reasons I gotta give it to him was because of cunning.
Yeah.
So if you tie, you win. But also with double the fall, the control is just so great, especially because it lets you win hero fights.
Mm-hmm.
So when you've got a commander versus a commander or an operative versus that commander, you win.
Yeah.
And oh man, it's a tough decision because it would be Double the Fall for me, or his one pip, where he gets relentless, and oh gosh, the keyword lets him do both attacks.
Yeah.
Arsenal too.
Right. And
Yes.
that's like
And those-
ridiculous, but whatever.
It's why
It's good.
It's crazy.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty crazy because with that attack you can lightning people, and when you lightning them, scatter them closer, and then move. There's some crazy shenanigans, but I think I got to go with Double the Fall as my favorite, and then we'll go over my least favorite later.
Yeah.
How about for you?
Well, I pretty much said my favorite with Hello There, and then like You Serve Your Master Well with Luke is really good. If I were to do a least favorite, man, I feel like Han just struggles. Like I feel like everybody else has a command card that's like, oh, that's why you take this character. Han shoots first, cool. It's referencing the movies, awesome. But his attack still sucks. Like, I'm sorry. Yes, you have Pierce 2, but you only have 2 dice. Like, your damage cap is not high enough to make me want it. Gunslinger even, like, just doesn't make me want it. So the most I can do is 4 damage.
And it's at 2 different people.
Yeah, and it's mitigated. It's like you're helping your opponent, you know? I feel like if you take Han, you are... And I hate to say that because I love running Han and Chewie together for fun. But, man, I just feel like if you're doing a competitive list, in any sense of the word, you are just giving your opponent points by taking Han. Like, Chewie carries that duo, I feel like.
Yeah. I
don't know. What do you guys think? Do you, like, because I've heard some negative comments about Chewie, too, about how he's not so great. His Guardian ability is kind of lame. I would never Guardian with Chewie.
It's kind of hard with the Guardian and white saves.
Well, it's kind of weird because I feel like they hold Guardian back on the 2 characters they gave it to, you know? Like, you give it to Obi-Wan, who has the same probability of saving as clones. Sure, you have Ceresu, but it's pretty situational. So, like, I just feel like Guardian could be so much better if they gave it to a unit that has red dice and a faction that has white, you know?
You mean like K2.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So they're giving it to K2, which he can... But is that only 1 turn?
It is
That's
on 1 turn,
yeah.
but he gets like Guardian for or something. It's crazy.
But he dies at the end no matter what. So it's like, okay, I'm going to Guardian them all just in case, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you don't want to waste that ability. No, but that is pretty good. Yeah, like I would love for a character, maybe even on droids, even though I don't know why you'd want to save droids, because they're meant to be disposable.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, they're already taking so many hits.
Yeah.
They're such bullet sponge. Well, I guess like Magna Guards are one that I could see that with.
Guardians for red saves.
Guardian red saves.
Yeah.
This brings me up to a point that I would love to see in the future is more stuff like R2 gets, where he kind of forces a taunt onto people. You know what I'm talking about? Where if he has suppression, then you have to attack somebody else, like C-3PO does. Right. I would love to see stuff like that, kind of forced taunts.
Yeah.
More. I know in other games it's kind of like you have to shoot sometimes the closest unit, so there is like a strategy to that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think forcing taunts onto people would be really cool. Yeah. I know Guardian kind of does that, but that'd be fun.
No, I agree with you. That's pretty much it for our favorite units and what we like about them. Let us know what your favorite units are on Discord in the comment section below. Really drives that conversation for that YouTube algorithm. That sweet algorithm.
Keep it going.
But next community questions. We actually had quite a few this week, and by quite a few, I mean 3. So let's just jump into it. Do you want to take us away, Matt?
Yeah, actually, let's start here with a question from our boy Dak Zavis on Discord. So we'll read the question out and we'll get to the meat of it. It says, not so much a question, but a concern I have been having lately. Due to social distancing, the only games I've been playing have been against my 9-year-old son. I often find myself in a situation where I could crush him and destroy all hope, but I don't do that because he would have a meltdown. My concern is that I am developing bad habits. Does anyone else with young players have experience with this? I think this is a great question because I think that's the key to the question is that very end part there. Like, does anyone else with young players have experience with that? I know he's talking about his son in particular,
right.
But I think this also extends to a larger question of do you find yourself falling into bad habits based off of your community,
Yeah.
off of people you're playing, off of, for example, like Kyle, you and I, when we were first learning the game, we had so many things we played wrong.
Yeah.
Until we ran into other players.
Yeah.
And same thing happens with
And
new
those
players.
some of those things still come up every now and then to people that have been playing way longer than us, of just like things that we didn't know. Maybe we interpreted something wrong that we just keep running with. You know?
And even the reverse has happened where we
Yeah.
correct people who've been playing a lot longer
Right.
than us, because maybe they had the same thing where that's
Yeah.
how they played it, and that's not
Once you
the way
get
it is
stuck in
anymore.
that
Yeah.
habit, you just like, oh well, that's how it is. You don't question it anymore. So yeah, like I love how you said it happens both ways. But overall, just like younger players, I play with a child almost every week. His name's Matt.
A pretty big child, yeah. Yeah.
No. Matt and I never have any disagreements about Legion.
Never.
Never.
Yeah. Stop.
I still hate you for that one time.
I don't even remember
I don't
which
know
one
either.
time. There's so many. Just kidding.
Fake drama, YouTube drama. No, I get what you mean as far as like developing bad habits. I think, and we'll get into this later with another question one of the community members asked, but I do think there's compartments in our brain that we could develop. Like I play like this when I'm playing with this player, you
Yes.
know? I know in our community with someone that's newer, I will go easier on them, or maybe I'll like let them have a unit to make them feel like, hey, they accomplished something, or maybe like, hey, like this is how you exploit things, to teach them, right? And you could maybe think about incorporating that with your son, like maybe do go hard, but like toss the dog a bone every once in a while, like, hey, like I put these stormtroopers out here and open, maybe you should shoot them, like wink, wink, nudge, nudge, like they're about to cap that objective, things like that, What are your thoughts, Matt?
Kind of exactly that. Because the hard part is, like, especially right now with social distancing, we don't get many options to play. Let's be real. If it's not TTS, you're probably just not playing, period. Right. Which is kind of exactly how it is. And that's the heart of this question here is developing bad habits during a time like this. Because if you want to, you can go watch bat reps and things, and that'll help you out. But I think it is so key to encourage people. I would never suggest you play against yourself.
Yeah,
that doesn't work that way. You can theorize, but I don't. It's not the same.
I've
as
never
playing
even
against
thought
an
about that. That's
opponent.
very interesting.
Well, I've heard some people do that, especially in other games, but I feel like that sets you up for a false sense of how things work. Like you give this false equivalency in your mind of, oh, well, when I played against myself, that's how this worked. Well, you end up kind of just being that guy from the Pixar short where you play chess against yourself and you win no matter what. And then maybe when you go against somebody else, they're like, nah, this is stupid, and they crush you.
Yeah,
but I feel like it is so key to tailor those games to those people, but also, I guess, keep a sense of realism to your mind.
Yeah.
It's kind of like there was a study with mice, and they found that the bigger mice, if they won all the time, the little mice would just stop playing.
Oh.
It was an interesting thing, but they found that if the big mice let the little mice win, at least 30% of the time, the little mice would try.
What are these mice playing?
So they're just like wrestling and things like that.
Okay, because I was thinking like a tiny game of chess or checkers or something.
You kind of little Legion figures. Oh yeah, but, like, it was interesting. Like they wouldn't play; they would just give up and stop playing. And
Interesting.
So, same thing with lions. A lot of lions exhibit this behavior where, like, when they have kids, the cubs.
Yeah.
They'll let the cubs bite them, and they'll pretend to lose.
Right, and I always thought that was
not
like a form of
but
like instruction to like this is how you do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that is something to do, but it's a tough question.
What we're saying is be a lion, eat your son. Of course, also take out everything we're saying with a grain of salt. We're not parents. I have a nephew that likes to play games with us, and while he's not quite to the age where he can comprehend and play Legion yet, whenever we do play games, like I get it. Like there are some things where like, well, I don't want to play that when I'm playing seriously with my friends. Like we always use the term casually competitive, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like as long as you recognize like what you're doing isn't what you would do in a full game, I wouldn't call that a bad habit. I'd call that a learning experience for your son.
Yeah, I agree, and I think especially like using it as an opportunity to maybe try some other things out.
Yeah.
Maybe play with units you don't usually use. Maybe try nerfing yourself a little bit. I Will brought that up on the Discord, and I actually like that idea.
Yeah.
Of maybe playing with an underpowered team to see how well
Play
you
with
can
Han
do
and
with them.
Chewie.
Yeah. Do something fun. But also maybe try scheduling a chance to play against more competitive player every now and then. It might be hard to do right now, but try.
Try, yeah. Our next question comes from Ferran from Discord.
Ferran.
I don't know. Is that a reference to something? Ferran? Is that?
I feel like
am
it is.
Am I lacking in
I
nerd
feel
knowledge
like
right
it's
now?
Zelda, but like
It's not. Oh, like Farron Forest? I don't think that's how it's spelled.
Oh, it's Faron. Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's not Zelda.
Okay.
He's probably listening to this like, guys, come on, don't make me look so.
Idiots.
Don't embarrass me like this.
Sorry.
Anyways, Ferran asks,
Ferran.
when does playing for fun and playing for competitive cross the line?
That is a really good question. We've talked about this.
Never ever. Destroy your opponents. Eat your son.
What did Conan about the Barbarians say? Like, there's no greater joy than defeat your opponents.
Yeah,
Like, hear the lamentation of their women or something like that. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I don't know, but seriously, I think it crosses a line when you like, personally, when I feel I have like physical symptoms, I guess you could say, of when I know I'm crossing the line. I get flushed, heat rushes to my head, like I quite literally get heated, even if it's like frustration at myself. Like I start getting embarrassed, or I start like getting quiet, and when that happens, that's when I know I'm taking it too far. You know?
Yeah. Like when if you start to feel like you just got out of a discussion about politics with somebody,
Yeah.
you probably went too far.
Yeah.
Well, it's
at least politics in today's climate with how people are willing to,
Yeah.
people can't talk to each other anymore.
And without going further down that road.
Trump, no. I kid. There's
Dude,
no political affiliation other than the Galactic Empire here.
Yeah, no, we're all about the Galactic Empire here. Sorry, the Republic.
I mean, the Republic was just a precursor.
Yeah, it's true.
We just paved the way.
Paving the way for a better day.
Paved the way for a better tomorrow.
Yeah.
I feel like that's actually a quote from a movie.
Me too.
Gosh. Anyways, but yeah,
But like,
what about you? Do you think there's ever a point where it crosses the line?
It does. It's hard to say because I feel like it's all based off of the context of when you're playing. Like, for example, going back to Dak Zavis's question. Okay, like it's pretty easy to tell when you're crossing the line in that situation, especially like playing against newer players or younger players. If you just start stomping them just for the sake of stomping them, that's a clear crossing the line. But I think also I bring that up because some players, no matter when you play, even if you say, hey, let's have a fun game, it will always be a competitive game for that person. They'll always take it that way, and you kind of just need to accept that and realize that their play style will never be yours.
Yeah.
And vice versa, where some people you'll play in a competitive, and you might be at a tournament, the top table of the tournament, and this other person is just taking it casually.
Yeah, and yet they're beating you.
Yeah, that they're beating you. And, yeah.
You love to see it.
You never know. Maybe the dice just rolled super hot. They've got nothing but crits all day. But like, I feel
they bake their dice.
Yeah.
So they're casually competitive.
Judge Owen use his dice. Casually competitive.
But the other side of that question too, playing for fun. I think it's interesting that you phrase that almost like, when does playing for fun and playing for competitive cross the line? Do you think there's a point where playing for fun crosses the line?
Yes, because I feel like I hate to admit this, but like there are times where I feel like I start taking the game more casually, but the person I'm playing against, they're being competitive, and so they interpret my casualness and my jokes in a bad way.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to do that to
like
people.
Maybe you're like they think you're making fun of them or something like that,
they're
not taking them seriously.
Yeah,
I can see that.
And like, or maybe like they're just, and I don't mean it to be that way, but it's such a hard thing to balance. It's such a hard thing to balance your attitude with their attitude, especially because some people, I feel like they're not malleable in that way, where they're unable to change the way they perceive it. So sometimes you being that person to match, to kind of be a mirror.
Yeah.
It's like a salesman tactic almost, where you mirror their attitude and figure out kind of how they're playing. But I guess there definitely is a line. Where is the line, I guess, Kyle?
For me personally, I interpreted that on more of like the personal side, I guess. Like when you're playing for fun, it could be crossing the line if you're playing too much. You know, like if you're ignoring responsibilities in your life, like when it comes down to it, this is just a game. This is a game we play, we enjoy. We can spend a lot of time on it. But when it takes us away from important things like family and friends, like luckily you and I were friends that also happen to enjoy the same hobby, you know? So that's really great. And you should always have friends like that. But like you shouldn't ignore the friends that may be not into it. And I don't know if it sounds super preachy or not, but I'm just saying like there are relationships and things in your life that require attention, and that if you shirk your responsibilities in those relationships or responsibilities, you're doing yourself a disservice in the long run, because like it's just a temporary filament for something that should be glued together, you know?
Agree. No, I agree. And like I think you said it already, but the line is kind of it's hard to say this is the definitive thing, but my general metric is when you start to get angry and frustrated, like you said. I think that's probably the key. I
think if you blow off somebody, like in general, just to go play a game, I think that, like, depending on the situation, of course, like maybe it's somebody you're not familiar with, but like let's say you're married, you know, and you're trying to
blow off your anniversary. You blow,
yeah. Okay, you don't understand. This is the prime, okay?
Honey, I love you.
I am the best prime you are ever gonna get.
Honey, where is my legion?
Where are my clone troopers?
I am.
Put them away.
Why do you need?
Honey, the war is in danger. My evening's in danger.
You tell my clone woman we're talking about the greater good. Oh my gosh, I should go off on that. But no, for real, like, dude, there's a point. Like, there's a point. It's hard. I guess, you know.
The subfactions depend on it. I am the only subfaction.
I hope she/he is not a subfaction. But
I'm into that, dude.
Oh my gosh. You know what I mean? Like, they better not be a sub-faction of your life.
I really don't know what that means.
They better be the main faction of your life. Your main.
But yeah. She my side creature trooper.
Oh my gosh.
Yeehaw. I think part of the reason I'm laughing is because like I just have like I'm pretty tired actually, and so I just said that with like the least energy. You can't see it at home, but my head was like totally cocked back. I'm double chinning it all, and I'm just like, yeehaw.
I'm
stupid. I'm sorry,
that's
guys.
Freaking hilarious, dude.
Yeah.
Hopefully that helps for like it's a hard question.
I know we're terrible to put up with questions.
It really is.
Answered it.
It really is a hard question. I think to summarize, Kyle said it best.
Yeehaw.
If you're starting to take it too seriously, if you're like getting angry, physical reactions about it, you're not being casual anymore. But on the other side, also watch out for like vice versa. Like just we've said it time and again, but you kind of have to mirror who you're playing.
Yeah, I agree.
Be time appropriate.
And our last question, do you think we will ever see crab droids and spider droids in the future? And this is from Mr. Pleb on Discord as well. We've kind of talked about this before, so we'll try and keep this one brief. But yeah, 100%.
100%.
Yeah, I think those will be the droids, the CIS's response to creature troopers.
Yeah, because you think about the release schedule or the release cadence.
Yeah.
The Republican droids are definitely matching and mirroring the release cadence of the Empire and the Rebels. Maybe they're not getting as flushed out, but they're getting units that perform multiple roles. Once it comes time for dewbacks and for other things, I almost guarantee we'll get either spider droids or crab droids. It's got to be.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, I don't know, gameplay-wise, I would like to say that I think crab droids would come sooner. Because I think that I could see more utility being taken out of them. But cool factor is definitely a thing. And same reason why we have the ATST in the game is because it just looks cool. I think spider droids, even if they're the dwarf spider droids and not the big ones.
Oh, man, I think a dwarf spider droid would be really cool.
Yeah, I think a dwarf spider droid would fit really well in the game. But if we're looking for, like, large base minis, imagine that. Like, imagine having a large, honking hecker honk over there.
Right, just a
He's
big old
hecking
tall boy.
chonkers.
Well, he could be like on he could be on like a Saber class base, but the height of the ATST.
You dude, I'm telling you, we
would
should
be
just
cool.
design the super heavy faction right now. AT-AT, Spider Droid, Juggernaut.
I'm telling you right now, like I would love another rank, like an artillery rank.
Yeah.
So when I play droids, I could just have bunch of artillery with a few B1s.
Yeah,
I
I
would
feel like
love
they
to do
tried that with the laser cannon and it didn't work out too well.
Yeah, but that's because I don't know. I like the laser cannon.
You do, yeah.
I really do. I just don't feel like it should be a heavy. I feel like it should be kind of that artillery.
Yeah. It subtly got
But,
buffed and people don't know
yeah.
that. It got an indirect buff.
Really?
Yeah, two of them actually. One from being able, and one that people do know about, the fact that it's able to deploy out further now with certain deployments.
And it got range 1 to 5.
Yeah, they got range 1 to 5. They got the buff from before you would take snipers to get long range, but they were infinite, so why would you not just take infinite range with Pierce? Well, now you only have range 5 on snipers, so you might as well take the one with 5 black die.
That's true.
Yeah.
I guess you're right, because it also throws more dice.
Yeah. So the
Then
damage
two
cap is higher. And
Points
so,
wise, it also cheaper
Yeah.
cheaper than 2 sets of snipers.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's an indirect buff that people should try now. I know you have, and I would like to try soon.
But what's weird is it's still technically a trooper,
Yeah.
so it does count for some objectives if you can
Yeah.
land.
So if
or
you do
deploy on
hemmed in,
something.
put that baby right in the middle.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Don't. It's gonna get killed so fast.
Bullet sponge.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to see droids. do
Creature
more stuff.
troopers. Yeah.
It would just be fun to have an army of just dwarf spider droids and crab droids everywhere.
Yeah. I think that would be another thing that could get me into playing droids. Even like I don't know, just like I like the variety. So like having one unit at least of every single droid available would be cool. Just for like this is my droid army, you know.
Oh yeah, just for diversity.
It probably sucked.
Well, it's kind of like clones. The clones will probably have nothing but just a bunch of different types
Yeah.
of clones, which is not a bad thing. But
Right. Well, I mean that is the Clone Wars.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, that's about it for us today, guys. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well. Matt, do you have any concluding thoughts for us?
Just remember to share our green tokens.
Share our green tokens.
And
Yeah. Wash
hopefully
your
she's
hands.
not your side creature troopers.
Yeehaw. Yeehaw. Menu.
All right, good night.